Hi, this is Raj from Sportscars. In this video I'm going to talk about common things that you need to look out for that are quite common fail on 987 Gen 2s. In particular, this is a lovely 2.9 Boxster. This video, a lot of it will apply to both the S models of the Cayman Boxster as well, and also the 2.9 on the Cayman as well. These are relatively reliable cars, but there are bits and pieces that you need to just keep an eye out. If you are looking to buy one, here's a few buyer's guide tips that I've got. The first one of them, which is the most common, is the air conditioning working? And even if it is, check these air conditioning condensers, which are in quite a vulnerable place here, and check for any damp patches in the corners of them with the torch, because that will likely lead to your air conditioning system losing gas, and eventually the system will stop. It will start getting noisy first, so it will sound like it's making a hissing noise inside when the air conditioning is running, and then eventually it will actually stop working altogether. So check those very carefully with a torch. And likewise, while you got the torch, look at all the suspension components. Check that the top mounts look in good condition and aren't heavily worn or rusty. Check the bump stop, so that's that section there, to see if that's all perished. Likewise, the springs, do they still have their original black coating on them? And then while you're in the wheel arch, check these bits. These two big pipes here that I'm highlighting are the coolant crossover pipes. Very common for those to go. This car's had them replaced, as well as the air conditioning condensers within the last year. I think it's actually within the last few months, so they're in great condition. But quite often you'll see sort of like crystallization where they're starting to weep, and basically the coolant is crystallizing as it comes out and dries out. So check those on both sides. Check the under trays while you're under there to see if there's any staining from any fluids. Let me just show you on this side. Same setup. It's quite an expensive job to get all those repaired and replaced, because you have to take apart the suspension to get to them at the front end, lower the subframe, and again, as I said, check the bump stops, springs, all round. Obviously you want to do all the general checks that you would do, so check wheels, tyres, brakes, check the dates of the tyres as well. That's also a useful thing to see. So check that they're N rated ideally, or if they're not, they're a decent equivalent tyre. So these are week 13 2019, and they're still in great condition. But you want to just check obviously the treads, but not just on the outside but also on the inside. So that side will tend to wear quicker than that side because they sort of sit at an angle. Same with the discs. Check that the discs haven't got too much of a lip on them. And then again, like the front, check for any corrosion on any of these items, as well as rubber perishing on the bump stops and things. Underneath the car, you just want to check for any oil leaks or anything like that on these sections here. Any oil weeping along the back here. Check all the bushings to see they're okay, and also all the bolts that hold the exhaust together. It's quite common that they look quite rusty, but as long as they're forming a secure fit and the exhaust isn't blowing, then normally they're fine. They're normally replaced as part of a major service with spark plugs. And then aesthetically, there's some common things that do go. One is the surfaces of the headlights, so check that they're still clear with no cracking or peeling effects, or crazing as it's called. Check for damage, because obviously when you do any work to the front, so changing the air conditioning condenser, you pull the bumper off, and sometimes that can lead to damage on these bottom edges of the headlights. They're very expensive to replace, so I would definitely check those. Generally check for a good paint match across the car. I think it's unrealistic now to expect these cars to have completely original paint. As a minimum, they'll have had front, possibly rear bumpers repainted, because they do pick up marks, and quite often cars that have been through the Porsche network, the used car scheme, they will respray the whole front end, so wings, bonnet, bumper. So you might see a slight different mismatch in colour between the front half and then beyond, but don't be too put off by that, as long as you can see it's been looked after. On the Boxsters, quick check you want to do is there's a split in this carpet here which you can pull up, and you can check all the foam under here to see if it's damp, and do that on both sides. If it is damp, it means that they could be, the drainage holes in this area here are blocked, and so they'll need unblocking, because otherwise what will happen is there's control modules under both of the seats. They will fill up with water, and then the car will start going haywire. The roof will try and open without the clamp at the front being released, so it will rip the braces in the roof. The alarm will go off potentially as well, so that's one thing to be very careful of. And then in terms of interior, just make sure everything is working. As I said, there is that split on this side as well, so you can check. Again, just pull it. It's very easy to just pull in there. You can see the floor pan under there. Just check it's all dry. Then the other thing is that you want to make sure that when the hood shuts, it shuts on the inside of this plastic finishing surround. And if it doesn't, it means that the elastic that pulls this hood in place is worn, and it's stretching too much. It's not holding the hood. So let me just show you the bits that I'm referring to. So as you open the hood, so there is an elastic attached to this triangle here, and that cord loses its elasticity, and it doesn't pull this section in enough as you're closing it, and then it sort of shuts on the outside of this. It's very common. We've actually replaced the elastic in this side of this hood because it was doing exactly that. It's a very simple fix. There's lots of videos showing you how to do that repair so that it sits nicely in there. You basically just replace like for like. You take the piece of elastic out, cut a new piece of elastic, which you can buy from a lot of online suppliers, Amazon, eBay, that kind of thing. You can buy a whole roll of it, and you just stitch in a new piece and screw it in, and then it all works as it should. Looking into the front section, again, this guide isn't designed to be exhaustive. It's just to show you some of the pointers of things that commonly fail and commonly need addressing on these 987 Gen 2s. Can easily apply to 987 Gen 1s. Actually, a lot of this stuff is identical. The big difference being the engine. So in here there should be some drainage holes, which you can see, which shouldn't be blocked, full of leaves and everything else. We've cleared these ones out. There's one there. There's one down in that corner, which you can see, and they should be free flowing. So when you wash the car, just check under here to see if this area is filling up with water, because there's a tray there that will just basically sit with water in if you don't unblock these. There is another one in that corner there, just under that section there. Hopefully you can see the edge of it, but there's 4 of those. They need regularly clearing out. Ideally, you can use the end of a paintbrush or something like that. You just put a gentle amount of water in to flow through, and that should be enough to sort that problem out. They're the main things I'd look at. Again, look at general condition of the car. Are you happy with the aesthetics of it? Does it have too many stone chips? Does it have too little stone chips and poor paint repairs? It's kind of a balance. The hoods always have these fold marks, but just check that there's no actual splitting of the stitching. They all have a varying degree of depending on how much they've been used, but check that there's no mold or green staining on the hoods. That can all be scrubbed out, but basically the better the hood condition, the more likely it's to last during your ownership as well. But these cars are sensational ownership prospects. It's just you need to go in with your eyes open and check all those bits and more that I've mentioned, just so that you end up buying a good example. Well, I hope you've found this video useful. Please do subscribe and like my channel. Thanks for watching.